Yo, what is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team series here on the channel. Today is the third race in the second season of the My Team series, and I will be honest with you boys, I am losing a bit of motivation to keep making this series. So if you want me to keep going with it, just please hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video. And yeah, let's get back to the video. Like I say, I'm just losing that motivation to keep going, but I do enjoy it still, so let's keep pushing forward. You can see Jenson Button, our teammate, he's struggled so far in the first two races, in qualifying especially, so we're going to go ahead and pick up a personnel upgrade, which will give Jenson 5 more pace and bring his pace stat up to 90 once that does come through. But we're getting into Imola today, of course, the sprint race. Sprint race is going to be in the sun, but the actual race, look at that, the weather forecast says that it's going to pour down with rain, the opposite of what happened to us in Imola in Season 1. We had a wet sprint race and a dry normal race, but let's get into the sprint. Oh, this is qualifying actually, not the sprint, so let's scrap that and let's get into qualifying for the sprint. Yeah, so getting ready to jump in the car. As you can see, our nice purple and black suit there and our very nice camo and purple car. And getting into this lap, then we're going to have a bit of a slipstream hopefully from Lewis Hamilton. I believe that is in front of us there as we head down the main straight, very long straight here in Imola, running a medium downforce setup. I was going to say low downforce, but you still need quite a lot of downforce on the car, on the wings, to deal with all these tricky chicanes that you get through the lap. But at the same time, you do need some straight line speed. So coming through that first section, we've actually smashed it compared to the previous lap. Up in the delta, getting into a tricky corner here. I never really know how to approach this one. Just push it as wide as you can on exit and avoid the gravel. Now again, another tricky corner, this hairpin uphill. You need to get on the throttle as early as possible, get that power down, because you're climbing a hill. If you don't get the power down early, you're going to lose time all the way up the hill. So Lewis Hamilton moves out of our way very kindly indeed there. As we come around the next corner into the downhill zone, a lot of elevation changes here in Imola. Another tricky braking zone as you're trying to turn right and uphill while you're braking downhill, very tricky. A lot of the corners on this track are tricky now that I think about it. Into the chicane, watch out for these curbs, because as Charles Leclerc will tell you, very unforgiving curbs if you take too much of them. And yeah, downhill again now towards the final double left-hand corner, and then we get onto the straight. So, well, it's not the final corner because there's another one to come, but there we go, basically the final corner. And then if you call this king to the right a corner, then I guess you're a bit weird if you do that, but little king to the right and then we cross the line is good enough for, let's find out, are we through to Q2? Yes, we sure are. P10. We were actually sat in P12 before that lap, I do believe, so we were safe anyway. But for some reason in my head, I had it in my head like you need a P10 to get to Q2, forgetting that it was actually you need to be the top 16 to get through to Q2. Jenson Button in P12, they're just 2 places behind us. This is before that upgrades came in for his pace upgrade, by the way. We won't see that the effects of that pace upgrade until, I believe, the Monaco Grand Prix. This video is going up on a Friday, by the way. It should have been going up on the Wednesday, but some real life stuff has come up, so I've had to change the upload schedule a bit. So this video will go up on Friday, Monaco will go up on Monday, and then there might not be another video on Friday next week. I will try my best, but yeah, like I say, it probably won't make a difference anyway, because the views are down anyway. But anyway, let's get back to it. We're in Q2. Can we make it through to Q3 for the first time in our career? We made it through to Q2 twice in Season 1, I do believe. So can we try and make it through to Q3 for the first time? Who knows? Let's find out. So far, it doesn't really look like the fastest of laps, you know, but we're putting the time in. We haven't got much left in this session. I believe we did just advance a few minutes. You see, we're sat in P16 without a representative time on the board. So whatever this lap is might be one of our final laps to get in, unless we can do 2 push laps, but it's not looking likely with the amount of battery charge we have left. But let's find out anyway. Coming through the chicane and then heading downhill now towards the double apex left-hander, taking curb on the inside for a bit of rotation, pushing as wide as possible, avoiding the gravel trap, and again, bit of curb for rotation, avoid the gravel, bit of oversteer on exit, take the shortest run that you can to the line, and we're going to cross the line. It's only good enough for P15 that lap, so can we go again? Like I say, the battery charge isn't that high and we don't get to go again, but we end up, Jenson Button ends up in P11 and we end up P15, not showing that pace that we had in Q1, but I mean, it's all to play for still in the sprint race. Can we try and improve on that P15? It's not a great result for us. Really wanted to capitalise on that previous race, but let's get to the sprint.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Ocon, and Yuki Tsunoda, Button, Gasly, Robert Schwartzman, and Vettel. The owner driver, Stroll, Alex Albon, and Mick Schumacher. Joe, Latifi, Magnussen, and Daniel Ticktum. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
There we have it then, people. Let's get to the sprint race. 11 laps around the circuit of Imola, starting on the medium tyres, of course. Soft tyres wouldn't last that long, and hard tyres would just be too slow compared to the mediums. Getting our formation lap in, as usual. You've got some slow cars around us. We're currently sat on the vehicle comparison chart anyway, around the middle section, but I don't take that for fact, because as we saw in Jeddah last week, if you haven't seen the Jeddah Grand Prix, by the way, make sure you check that one out, because it was a banger. Yeah, that vehicle comparison chart isn't that representative, because it also includes durability, and we have put no durability upgrades into the car, so we're basically missing like a quarter of performance in that chart, if you know what I mean. But in terms of the chassis and the aerodynamics, as we nearly rear-end Robert Schwartzman there, yeah, our car is looking very strong in this game so far, so we should have a lot of pace, especially for the cars around us. We get a perfect parking spot in our parking grid, and you see we're angled a bit to the right as well, so that'll help us cut off anyone who comes from behind. But lights out and away we go here in the sprint. It's a decent enough start. We seem to be keeping up with the cars around us. Sebastian Vettel, the car in front, we seem to have the same pace as him from the start. Nobody coming from behind. I bait Vettel to cover the inside there, or the outside I should say, for turn 1, and then coming through the turn 2 chicane, we are going to be out ahead of the Aston Martin driver Sebastian Vettel, who is retiring of course in real life this season. Now we're in this big train here. You see how close everyone is in front. Anyone looking to make a move into the hairpin? No, everyone stays behind each other. We try and look around the outside of Pierre Gasly. That would have been a great move if we could have made that stick, but just the traction struggles, just traction on the outside of that hairpin there. But Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri, we know that that's a very slow car, and as you can see there, Jenson Button fighting someone up ahead. He's slowed down Robert Schwartzman and Pierre Gasly. We managed to get the drop on Gasly, get ahead there as those two have to slow down. Now Robert Schwartzman in the Haas, he is our next target in sight. We get past Gasly, we're up 2 places from the start already, nearly towards the end of lap 1 here, right on the gearbox of that Haas of Schwartzman. Robert Schwartzman, I don't even know who he is, so I'm assuming he's not very good in this game, and hopefully we can take this guy as quickly as possible. And then it's our teammate in front. He's battling with someone, I can't see who that is, and all the driver transfers have got me mad confused this season. Like, wait till you see Kevin Magnussen in a Williams later on. My head fell off. But yeah, the driver transfers are crazy in this game. Robert Schwartzman now seeming to have a decent straight line speed in that Haas. We're using all of our battery charge as well to try and take him down into turn 1, but he was either using battery 2 or just has a very good straight line speed in that Haas car there, as we struggle coming through the turn 1-2 chicane, and Pierre Gasly back right on our gearbox, and then we go wide through the next corner out into the gravel. That's not going to cost us some time, and as you can see, the tyres, look at that front left, it just looks dirty now that we've gone on the gravel there. That's going to slow us down massively, and Schwartzman pulling ahead as they climb the hill there. Yellow flag comes out somewhere here on lap 4, and we're climbing the hill again trying to chase down Schwartzman. There's a yellow flag ahead and behind. There's yellow flags everywhere. Don't know what's going on here. There's only 11 laps in this race, so we need to try and make an impact soon if we want to try and climb into the points in the sprint race. Obviously the top 8 get points in the sprint. We're currently sat in P13. Zhou Guanyu out of the session here in this sprint race. Engine failure for the Alfa Romeo driver there. And as we head through the chicane now, there's another yellow flag just behind us again. I wonder if there's been contact. Kevin Magnussen out of the session. I wonder if there's been contact. We briefly saw Zhou Guanyu to the side there, and now we can see Kevin Magnussen. That is Magnussen in front of the Haas of Dan Ticktum. His engine is gone. I thought with those 2 cars retiring in quick succession there was contact, but there wasn't. They just both had engine failure at the exact same time. And the safety car comes out. I don't know why. The safety car doesn't normally come out for engine failures like that. We've never seen that. So the safety car's out, and there's only 11 laps in this sprint race. Not ideal, because now we're going to have to spend the best part of 2 laps behind the safety car. And as you can see, the safety car's coming in. We're staying on the gearbox of Schwartzman, trying to get the drop on Schwartzman as we've got one corner left before the straight. And you can see he's took off already, and we are not. We were sleeping there. We were not ready for that. We're using our battery charge to try and pull ahead, getting that slipstream of Schwartzman down to turn 1, but it looks like he's pulled ahead. We completely got caught sleeping there on the final turn on the safety car restart, but at least the pack is bunched up again, and we can try and make a move to try and get into that top 8 or top 10 at least, because obviously for the race we want to be in the top 10. There goes Pierre Gasly. He's got some pace around the outside. He's had a good start on this safety car restart. We have to defend there, and Gasly's lost a place to Vettel now after we defended against him there. Schwartzman still the car ahead with our teammate Jenson Button just in front of him. And obviously DRS is now disabled because of the safety car, so this safety car just really threw a spanner in the works, because any chance that we had of overtaking down the main straight with that DRS being so powerful there, that's been negated. And we've still got to go another 2 laps without DRS. Can we just try and overtake the Haas on pure pace? I don't know how he's sticking with us, because we are technically way faster than the Haas and we outbrake ourselves completely. Schwartzman over the curbs there. That was a silly move from me, I will be honest. Like, I completely braked way too late, or Schwartzman braked way too early, and then we have to take evasive action and shoot it up the inside, which made Schwartzman take evasive action. Luckily, if he didn't do that, then there would have been contact. I would have lost the front wing. But yeah, Schwartzman gets out the way for us, and we managed to move up into P12, and Jenson Button is our car ahead now. Team orders should come into play here. I wish there was team orders, because now we've got DRS and slipstream on our teammates. We're using our battery charge to try and overtake our teammate before we get into turn 1, but he's pushing hard down into turn 1. We get ahead before the apex, and we're too wide through turn 1 and turn 2. Button around the outside for turn 3 pushes us off the track, and yeah, Jenson Button stays ahead. Now we're just losing time to the car ahead, which is Yuki Tsunoda in the Alpine, who we know from previous races we are faster than. Jenson Button pushing us to the extremes. I understand it's a personal sport and that, and you want to do your best, but we should have employed team orders there. Wish that was a feature in the game. It's my team. I sign you, Jenson. I pay your bills, mate. Like, can we get him on the next lap? Slipstream again, using that DRS and the ERS deployment. Can we get ahead this time? We are going to be closer and further ahead by the time we get into turn 1. And down into turn 1, you can see Jenson still up the inside there, but on turn 2 we're going to park it on the apex, so we can't come back at us. And now we are up into P10 on the final lap of the race here. We managed to finally make that move, or P11 we actually got up into. Yeah, so race winner Max Verstappen, checkered flag falls, and it's going to be P11 in the sprint race, up from P15. I mean, it's better than nothing, you know what I mean, and we've still got all to play for in the actual race. No points in this one, sadly, but main feature race coming up next, starting from P11. Driver of the day, nice to see. Can we improve? Or, well, hopefully we can improve. All we need to do is gain one more place, which is going to be Yuki Tsunoda, and then we will be into the points. Lewis Hamilton finishing P9 there. Hamilton and George struggling this weekend in the 2 Mercedes. Obviously George finishing higher than Hamilton, but Fernando Alonso there up there in P5. But let's get to this race. It's in the wet, remember, so it's going to be a tricky one. Let's get it.
Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters wearing red today, and they've all turned out for what we're expecting will be a sensational event here at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Unlike most Formula 1 tracks, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet tarmac to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then, of course, leads into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today, of course. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Fernando Alonso and Russell, Norris, Ocon, Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda. The owner driver, Button, Robert Schwartzman and Vettel, Gasly, Albon, Lance Stroll and Mick Schumacher, Ticktum, Latifi, Magnussen, They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Guan Yu Zhou. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Well, it's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Here we go then, people. It is going to be pouring of rain for this race formation lap. It's going to be important to try and get some heat into the tyres for the start here. And at the end of the formation lap, you can see we just skip it completely, try and get some burnouts in. I think we actually lost temperature by the time we did the formation lap. But try and get some heat into those rears. I think we did manage to do a bit with that burnout right at the end there. Good parking spot again. And we can see it's a Red Bull lockout on the front row for this sprint race. Lights out and away we go. Very wet start to this race. It's going to get heavier, the rain, as well as the race goes on. But we get off to a decent start there, already ahead of the Alpine of Yuki Tsunoda. Can we set up Ocon the same way we set up Vettel in the sprint race to cover the inside or cover the outside as we go up the inside through turn 1? And it's the inside of Lewis Hamilton. I think there was a bit of contact there. Hamilton knocking our front wing or our front tyre. Hamilton stays ahead of Esteban Ocon, who is in P9. Ocon driving that McLaren car, very weird to see because Ricciardo retired, especially thinking about all the stuff going on in real life with Alpine and McLaren. Very weird to see Ocon in that papaya orange car there. But climbing the hill, it's going to be very difficult this race. Here comes Yuki Tsunoda. Like I say, if you don't get the power down early on that hairpin there, then the cars behind you will just capitalise on that and you will lose time all the way up the hill. But we managed to stay ahead of Tsunoda as we get to the braking zone. And like I say, no DRS because it's raining. So that down the main straight, the easiest overtaking spot, it's going to be even harder to overtake now because there is no DRS. So if we can't stay with the cars in front, then I don't know where we're going to try and make places up in this race, I'll be honest with you. Because Ocon, as you can see, is pulling ahead. He's 6/10 ahead already. We're managing to keep Tsunoda behind after battling there. But Tsunoda is still right in our gearbox. I mean, it's weird because we are so much faster. There's a yellow flag already, lap 4 of this race. Yellow flag ahead. That's a good sign for us. That might mean we gain a place here. Let's find out what's happened in a moment. It's Max Verstappen out of the session. The man who won the sprint race, qualified on pole position, is out of the feature race here, and that is not a good sign. That's the second Red Bull powertrain we've seen in 3 races. 3 races retire, because obviously Perez retired in Bahrain. Huge snap of oversteer there on the final corner, managing to keep it out the wall. That was very lucky. It's funny when you get on throttle and you feel the oversteer coming and you're just like, oh no, like please. And a virtual safety car deployed. I don't know what for. Again, we saw this in the sprint race. The safety car came out for like what felt like no reason. And now again, you see, we got lucky there because it looked like Tsunoda was about to overtake us down into turn 1. Then of course, with the virtual safety car, you're not allowed to overtake. So I don't know why it came out. Nobody crashed. I think it was just because of Verstappen retiring, which is just very bizarre to see. I don't know if this game's broke again. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. A glitch in the F1 2022 game, who'd have thought it? As we completely missed the chicane there, have to go off the track. And that's going to make the tyres a lot. Well, it's just not going to help the tyres, is it? There goes Tsunoda up the inside. I thought he was going to go for a move around the outside there. Completely messes up our line into the next corner. And this battle with Ocon, I mean, with Tsunoda, is just costing us time to Ocon. You see Ocon 5 seconds ahead now. Lewis Hamilton comes into the pits, signed into the pits. A lot of people coming into the pits on lap 7 to fit the full wet tyres. We decided to go for an overcut here. I felt like we had nothing to lose. I didn't realise Ocon had stayed out. Ocon was the car in front. If I would have known he had stayed out, I would have gone for the undercut. But I thought he went into the pits as well, so I wanted to go with the overcut strategy. I just wanted to do the opposite of what the car in front did, and yeah, I bottled it. So we're going with the overcut anyway, coming onto the full wet tyres. It didn't actually feel like it was time for full wet yet, but by the time we got round to the pit lane again, Yeah, it kind of did feel like that. I think we were P9, weren't we, by the time we came into the pits there? So we're currently sat in P10 on the way out. Somebody's overtaken us, or somebody's not pit yet. And as we come out, head towards turn 1, there comes Sebastian Vettel on the run down to turn 1. Who's going to be ahead? It's going to be Vettel. Vettel flies ahead, just ahead into the braking zone there. For turn 1, we've lost another place. We're down to P11. Can we try and get that position back on the Aston Martin? We know that we are faster than that car, but with very tricky and limited overtaking zones in the wet here, it's going to be a hard task to do to try and take Vettel. But we are right on his gearbox. We are closer to him than Yuki Tsunoda is close to us. Esteban Ocon currently leads this race, followed by Alex Albon in P2. I don't think either of those two have pit yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out for those guys. But yeah, so Albon in the pits now, as you can see. We managed to overtake him again. Ocon has come into the pits, and he comes out in P8 still. So we go up the inside there. That's going to be a very late move on Sebastian Vettel, but that's great car control to get it slowed there through turn 1 and 2, and a great overtake. Very satisfying one to make that, because it was just a simple move on late on the brakes, but especially in the wet, when you make a move like that, it just feels so satisfying to make an overtake like that stiff.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
And that's not what we like to hear. The team are currently investigating an issue. Not what we like to see, especially after seeing a fellow Red Bull powertrain car retire on lap 4 of this race, i.e. Max Verstappen. And yeah, so can we just keep pushing? We're in the points. We're in P9. It's only small points, but we're still in the points. Be nice to keep momentum going and get 2 back-to-back point finishes, especially after the podium in Jeddah. As we come through the hairpin now, it looks like Ocon is way too far.
Okay, looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire. Sorry about that, mate.
I was about to say, it looks like Ocon is way too far ahead to try and catch him by now at this race. Even though there's 20 laps left, 8 seconds ahead, boy, it doesn't matter, because the engine's gone, boys. The engine is gone. We had a lot of engine issue last season, season 1, and now in season 2, we've already had a mechanical failure on the 3rd race of the season. Not what we like to see, especially after the momentum we had with, I think, where did we come in Bahrain? P7, and it was a good race. And then we had a podium in Jeddah. I was like, yeah, Imola's going to be another good race. Just wasn't meant to be. McLaren team celebrating there, and the McLaren sat in P1, number 31. Now, at this point, I'm annoyed. You know how it is. I'm not even looking at the screen. Esteban Ocon won this race. Now, I'm annoyed as it is from the mechanical failure. I haven't even looked at the screen yet. And then by the time I look up, I just skip the celebration because I'm like, how the hell did Esteban Ocon win this race? Ocon was in P8 when we retired. How did Ocon end up in P1? I don't get it. I don't understand. Okay, well, he did a 1-stop. Everyone else done a 2-stop. I've just clocked that. Why did everyone do a 2-stop? Are they stupid? I don't know. That's crazy to me. But Esteban Ocon, my least favourite driver on the grid, wins this race. And yeah, we get no points from it. No points from the weekend. We sat P10 in the drivers, P6 in the constructors. And yeah, that's going to be a big point haul for McLaren, who are our rivals this season. We are battling with McLaren. So to see Ocon get 25 points from a race there, it's just annoying. ICE was the component that went. We're going to have to take a new one for the next race, which is Monaco. Speaking of Monaco, can we try and get some upgrades in before Monaco? We're going to go with a downforce upgrade here. I believe we go with a front downforce upgrade because Monaco is the home of downforce. Yes, we do, and that will come in before Monaco, hopefully. And a weight reduction upgrade there also, getting that chassis upgraded. There we go, the personnel upgrades come through, which means now Jenson Button for this Monaco Grand Prix will have 90 pace. Well, that's a permanent upgrade. That's going forward. He'll have 90 pace instead of 85. We had our what was it called? I don't know. We had our upgrade come through there. They want us to pick a rival again, and they keep picking stupid people. I'm not rivaling a Ferrari or a Mercedes, bro. Like, give me like Tsunoda. I'll rival Tsunoda. I'm not rivaling Lewis Hamilton. But anyway, there comes our downforce upgrade, which is lovely to see. And with that downforce upgrade, we actually have the best aero package on the grid now. If we go back into here, as you can see, we have the best aero package on the grid. And we're going to rush this rear downforce upgrade, which we should get before Baku, hopefully, if that does come through and complete. But yeah, so the best aero package on the grid going into Monaco, that's a good sign, because Monaco is all about that downforce and just the car itself, not really pace. So even though we have the worst engine, having the best aero package is good to see. But if you do want to see the Monaco Grand Prix, and let me tell you, it is a banger. Make sure you check that video out on Monday. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I'll catch us next time, people. Take it easy.